Hello everyone, this is Tengu Ru, and welcome to another episode of Sketch and Speculate for the Dark Souls 3 DLC. The previous episode focused on Londor, the Sable Church, Kaith, and the Dark Wraiths, so this time I'm going in the opposite direction, with some speculation on Lothric, the royal family, and angels. As with the last episode, this video will discuss a good deal of game lore, so spoiler warning is in effect. So with that, let's get into it. The royal family of Lothric Kingdom are central to the plot of Dark Souls 3, and with certain details about them left up in the air, the odds are high that the answers will be given in the upcoming DLC. So who exactly makes up the royal family? The royals of Lothric consists of the consumed king Osiros, the queen, who is very likely Guinevere, daughter of Gwyn, their three sons, Lorien, Lothric, and Ocelot, and Gertrude, the heavenly daughter. Let's start by breaking down what we know about each of them, starting with King Osiris. The Soul of Osiris states, Soul of Osiris, the consumed king, one of the twisted souls steeped in strength. Osiris went mad, trying to harness his royal blood for a greater purpose, leading him to the heretics of the Grand Archives, where he discovered the twisted worship of Seath the Pale Drake. We get more info on this greater purpose from Prince Lothric's cinders. Cinders of a lord left by Prince Lothric. The Lothric bloodline was obsessed with creating a worthy heir, and when this proved impossible, resorted to unspeakable means. Suffice it to say, the path to linking the fire is a cursed one indeed. So Osiris became obsessed with creating the perfect heir, and turned to the heretical scholars of the Grand Archive for guidance. It is through them that he began to believe the path of the dragons was how he would create the perfect heir, and the answer to this lay with the Pale Drake Seath. But why was he so obsessed with harnessing his bloodline? What was so heretical about the scholars, and how would dragon worship help him to achieve his goals? The answer to the first question lies with his sons Lorien and Lothric. Let's start with Lothric, since he was the namesake of the kingdom. The Hood of Prayer reads, Prince Lothric's hood, the prince, destined to be a lord of Cinder, was cherished by the royal family despite being born into illness, a frail and shriveled child. His swaddling clothes were made of aged, coarse cloth used in ancient prayer and are all that he has ever worn. So Lothric was predestined to become a lord of Cinder, and likely rule Lothric, but was a sick and frail child. This would explain Osiris' need for a powerful heir. But what of Lorien? His great sword reads, Ultra Great Sword of Lorien, Prince Lothric's older brother, cast in smoldering molten steel and stained black. Before Lorien embraced his brother's curse, he was a knight who single-handedly slayed the demon prince. But the victory eternally scorched his sword with flame. We get a little more info from his armor. Armor of Prince Lothric's older brother Lorien. This black-dyed brass helm is patterned with flame. Lorien, raised as a knight, is said to have been left mute and crippled by his younger brother's curse. It is also said that Lorien, in fact, wished it so. Like his younger brother, Lorien was also predestined, but in this case it was to knighthood. I was struggling with why Lorien was never a candidate to rule like his brother was, but I think it comes back to the King Osiris and his obsession for a perfect heir. I think Lorien never showed the kind of intelligence his father was looking for as an heir, but was likely strong from a young age. The king's use of high-level magic suggests that he was very intelligent and was looking for that trait in his heir. Lothric's use of magic suggests he inherited that side of his father, but lacked the physical strength to rule. I think it's very likely it was their father's idea for Lorien to embrace his brother's curse in an attempt to merge their strengths into the ideal ruler. I believe that is what Lothric's cinders are referring to when they say resorted to unspeakable means. So now that we have the backstory on the characters we meet in the game, let's get into what this means for the lesser-known royals. When fighting Osiris, he repeatedly mentions Ocelot, his beloved child of dragons, and can be seen cradling an imaginary baby. We know Osiris has gone mad, and it's shown as he goes from saying that he won't give up Ocelot to asking where he has gone. We know nothing about Ocelot other than him being referred to as the Child of Dragons. So what does that mean? Osiris himself has become a dragon, but he says Child of Dragons, plural, so he likely was referring to something less direct. We know from Dark Souls 1 that dragons ruled the world during the Age of the Ancients, and they had scales of immortality that were coveted by Seath the Scaleless, which resulted in him betraying them. Since Osiris worshipped Seath, it likely means that he was looking to create an immortal heir like the dragons were. This brings us back to the heretical scholars of the Grand Archive who have studied Seath through the scrolls left by Big Cat Logan from Dark Souls 1. So what was so heretical about these scholars? The answer to this brings us to Gertrude and is found on her crystal chime. A sacred chime, once the possession of Gertrude, the Heavenly Daughter, and defiled by the scholars of the archives. The power of crystals grant the scholars a degree of success. In this case, their work enabled this chime to be suitable for casting both miracles and sorceries. The blending of miracles and sorceries is a sin, which can be seen by the Archdeacon's greatstaff. Large staff bestowed upon archdeacons of the Cathedral of the Deep. The Archdeacon MacDonald's trespass, the sin of channeling faith for sorcery, transformed what was once a mere symbol of ecclesiastic authority into a catalyst of sorceries. The scholar, priestess, and knight represent the three pillars of the king's rule. The pillars were meant to work with one another, but as separate entities. So what of Gertrude? The Bountiful Light and Divine Pillar miracles lend some insight. Bountiful Light reads, "Miracle taught to knights by Gertrude, Holy Maiden to the Queen. Gradually restores a large amount of HP. The Heavenly Daughter is said to be the Queen's child." Divine Pillars of Light states, "Miracle of Gertrude, the Heavenly Daughter, brings down multiple pillars of light in vicinity. The Queen's Holy Maiden Gertrude was visited by an angel who revealed this tale to her. Despite losing both her sight and voice, she was determined to record the tale. Ordinary men cannot decipher her fragmentary scrawl, nor comprehend how it became the foundation of the angelic faith of Lothric." We learn a bit more about these angels from the Winged Knight set. Armor of the Winged Knights, who swore themselves to the angels. Worship of the divine messengers was viewed as heresy in Lothric, and unrecognized by any of the three pillars of rule. This is believed to be why Gertrude, the Heavenly Daughter, was imprisoned in the lofty cell of the Grand Archives. So Gertrude essentially started her own religion, which defied the three pillars of rule that Lothric's religion is based on, and was therefore imprisoned. Corpse can be found in a cage in the Grand Archives, surrounded by angel feathers, suggesting that Gertrude might be dead, but I don't think that's the case. I think the angels are such a fascinating part of the lore, and that is so briefly touched upon, it definitely needs to be fleshed out. Also, the bit about the Heavenly Daughter being said to be the Queen's child is extremely interesting. Perhaps she is not the daughter of Osiris, but something else. That might explain the Queen's absence from the game. Perhaps the Queen was also visited by an angel, and Gertrude is the child of the Queen and an angel. Like I said before, the Queen of Lothric is likely Guinevere, based on a few item descriptions. The Divine Blessing states, "Warm, blessed holy water, fully restores HP and cures ailments." The Queen of Lothric, married to the former king Osiris, was initially revered as a goddess of fertility and bounty. After giving birth to Ocelot, her youngest, she quietly disappeared. We know from Dark Souls 1 that Guinevere was seen as a symbol of fertility and bounty based on the description of the same item in that game. With Gertrude imprisoned and her husband going mad, it seemed likely that the queen fled the land with Ocelot, since he is nowhere to be found. To summarize, King Osiris was obsessed with creating a perfect heir. After his first two sons, Lorien and Lothric, failed to live up to expectations, he began to research using magic from Seath to make an heir in imitation of the dragons. He also believed he achieved this through his son Ocelot, who is nowhere to be found in Lothric. The king also had a daughter named Gertrude, who was visited by an angel and was imprisoned for the worship of angels. She is either missing or dead. An important note is that the king used magic, which is associated with moonlight, while the queen is focused in sunlight, using light miracles. So what does this all mean for the DLC? I think we will end up meeting Ocelot, Guinevere, and possibly Gertrude if she still lives. Angels will likely play a key role, and we will hopefully learn more about the one that visited Gertrude. I believe the queen fled with Ocelot, not just because the queen went mad, but because of what he was. There are two theories. Just like the scholars of the Grand Archive who defiled Gertrude's chime, it's possible Ocelot was born of both moonlight and sunlight, magic and miracle, light and dark. This would be considered heresy and would explain why he was taken from Osiris. Perhaps he will even be under the protection of the angels. It would definitely be cool to fight some more angelic type enemies. Another possibility is that Ocelot was born from an angel and Guinevere, just like Gertrude was. This would explain why she would have fled with Ocelot, seeing as the worship of angels is considered heresy. Perhaps he will even be under the protection of the angels, or possibly be angelic himself. With the king going mad, he could have seen the wings as a sign of him being born of dragons, but the queen, being afraid of what might happen, fled with Osiris. It would definitely be cool to fight some more angelic type enemies and explore that a bit further. I also would like to learn more about the demon prince that Lorien fought as well. A war going on between angels and demon royalty would be really cool to see explored. There might even be a major focus on light and darkness, with one of the DLCs being dark themed and the other being light. I thought it'd be fun for the drawing to take a crack at a new angel we might fight. The inspiration for this was an angelic knight that might be protecting the queen or Ocelot. The armor design is based on the winged knights found in Lothric, with a bit of Ornstein, as he served as a protector to Guinevere. If Ocelot was in fact born an angel, then this could very well even be Ocelot. So what do you think? Do you think any of those characters will make an appearance in the DLC? Are you interested in learning more about the angels? Do any of my ideas sound like they are on the right track, or do you have some theories of your own? Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Leave a like to help support this series, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.